Hey guys, Kuzma here, back with another video, and in this video today we're going to be doing another versus splash page, and this one's going to be from 7 Deadly Sins, and the characters are going to be Meliodas versus Zeldris. I've been looking forward to doing this illustration for a little while now, ever since I started doing a couple of these splash pages and some versus splash pages. Would have been kind of cool to do it during last season since they actually threw down last season, but yeah, didn't get around to that. You know, now that 7 Deadly Sins Season 3 is coming out, this is still fun, and I'm sure Zeldris is going to be in that as well. To be completely honest, I don't really remember a whole lot of Season 2. Like, I remember a lot of the events that happened throughout everything I watched, but it kind of blends together in what was Season 1 and what was Season 2 for me, because I watched them all, like I binged watched them in like typically 1 or 2 days. I watched them on Netflix, and you know how Netflix releases it in bulk on there. So I ended up just binge watching both of those when they did come out. So it's all kind of merging together in my head what happened when. And I guess that means I'm probably just going to have to do a recap watch, so that way I refresh myself on everything that happened in Season 2. So that way I'm ready for when Season 3 drops. I'm not talking about the Season 2 on Netflix, which is like a whole mix-up that they did, where it's only like 4 episodes. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the real Season 2, which is labeled Season 3 on Netflix. Yeah, and one good thing about having a good dub on Netflix for this is when doing the recap watch, I can just kind of watch it while drawing some stuff or inking some of my manga or something. And I think that's also kind of part of the problem with me forgetting some things from some of the seasons, is because when it's in English, I can draw while I'm watching it, and sometimes my focus will be split between drawing and watching, and then, what I watched just isn't as fresh in my mind as it should be because I was drawing most of the time. Yeah, excited for Season 3 that just started, and excited to watch it when it comes out. And I do know it's from a new animation studio, but I'm pretty sure it will be just as good as the last season and the season before. Hopefully it's not a One Punch Man situation, but One Punch Man kind of set a very, very high bar with their first season, so I'm pretty sure this one will be fine though. Let's talk about the drawing a little bit now. So as some of you may know, because I've mentioned it in my other videos, I like to do a small little thumbnail of the illustration before I actually start. And typically I kind of do this thumbnail when I'm just brainstorming on what I want to do next, and I have the characters in mind, and I'm just thinking of the whole page and what I want the composition to be like. These thumbnails, they're very small. They're typically no more than 2 inches tall, sometimes even smaller than that. Just a way for me to kind of work it out before I actually start drawing it, so I get a good idea and sense of where I'm going to be putting stuff when drawing this traditionally. So also the video goes a little bit smoother, so I'm not doing too much erasing and experimenting. But yeah, so the general idea I had when I was going to thumbnail this was that I wanted the flow of Zeldris to be going down and the flow of Meliodas to be going up. For the action line that would kind of be imaginary between them, the point in which you can kind of see them coming closest to each other in the middle there, I didn't want it to be completely centered. So I kind of tilted it a little bit where it looks like Zeldris is kind of flowing towards the bottom right hand side of the page if he were to keep on going, and then Meliodas is kind of slashing up towards the top left hand side. I did this just because I thought it would give a little bit more flavor to the illustration instead of it just being a straight clash vertically on the page. It would have been a little bit more stiff, I feel like. One of the more challenging things for this illustration was their leg positions, and they may sound a little funny, but basically when I first started thumbnailing out the illustration, I had both of their leg positions somewhat similar, and I mean obviously they're in different angles, but they had pretty similar leg stances. So one of the benefits to actually thumbnailing it is that I could actually work out those leg positions early on in the thumbnailing process, so it went a little bit smoother when doing this full-on illustration. I would have to say the second most difficult thing was this sword, and it doesn't really seem that difficult, and it doesn't look like I had that hard of a time with it, but for some reason it was just giving me a lot of trouble. Yeah, I eventually ended up working it out, and I chose that sword instead of like the snake handle sword because, I don't know, I just wanted to put this sword in there. I thought it was cool. And now talk a little bit about this stuff that I was looking forward to drawing the most in this illustration. One was Zeldris's armor pieces on his arms. I really like the shape of them, and I like the bulkiness of them, and I was really looking forward to drawing those out. Another thing that I really looked forward to drawing was Meliodas' hair and Zeldris' hair. I looked forward to drawing both of them, and then I like the really simplistic big spikes that Zeldris has. Those were both really fun to draw out, and one other thing that I didn't expect to be as fun as it was drawing Meliodas' arm, and I don't know why, but drawing his muscular arm was kind of fun as well. Oh, that sounds weird. Don't judge me. Not what it sounds like, I just had fun drawing it. So this whole illustration video was a lot shorter. It was about half the time as some of my other illustrations, which kind of surprised me. Yeah, that was kind of can sometimes either take a while or they can go very fast. Like this one went very fast, but there's been simpler illustrations that took me way longer than this illustration did. And I ended up keeping the same recording angle I did from my last video. And it's a little bit different than my previous recordings for my other videos, and I kind of like the angle for this. I might change it back, I may not, but I originally ended up coming up with this angle so that way I could do digitally inked illustrations on this channel, and that way I can actually record my hand from straight above my tablet digital videos, and something that kind of portrayed the screen more so how I see it when I'm drawing, and strange color to it. So I noticed when trying to experiment with it that when I recorded from above, the colors were a lot more accurate to what I see. So basically this angle was birthed from me trying to get a good setup for being able to do digital works on this channel a little bit more often. It turns out it works pretty well with my traditional works as well. For those of you who have been looking forward to some digital work on this channel, you guys can look forward to that. And for those of you who like my traditional work, I've been trying really hard to get it to look as close to my traditional setup as possible, really. So that way we can kind of have the best of both worlds going on. But yeah, in any case, so the other night I ended up looking off to my left where all my illustrations that I do on this channel are kind of like sitting on top of this thing that holds all my pencils, and it's pretty much head height. And I noticed like all my drawings starting to kind of like curve over this thing because it's not big enough for the illustrations. When I'm done with them, I kind of just put them off to the side on top of this thing, and I noticed how many of them there are. I mean, there must be more than 30 sitting next to me, and I thought about doing a video point and just kind of have fun with it, you know? But anyways, we've moved on to a lot of the blackouts and stuff in the illustration, and like I mentioned in all my videos, I don't really like doing blackouts with pencils. It's kind of weird, but I kind of try to just shade directionally with the full-on blackouts. You kind of see me doing it here, and I try to shade directionally so it kind of fits with the direction of the hair, and that's how I was just trying to make it kind of flow a little bit better. I just didn't really have a choice with Zeldris because he's wearing so many colors that are black, are considered black in black and white illustrations. Because of his whole outfit being like red, it definitely does turn out to be more so black once it's all black and white. Kind of like in the manga. So I was just like, okay, I can't avoid this. I have to try to do these blackouts kind of solid and just do these directional shadings that might help it out. But all in all, I was pretty satisfied with the blackouts I did on Zeldris, and I'll just try to make them more interesting with that directional shading, and they could have been a lot worse. So I'm just trying to make the best of it without having to try to sit there and whittle away trying to make the whole thing actually, you know, a solid black without any of these textures. Not really my thing. Basically, my mindset on it is if I want solid black, I might as well just ink the whole thing, you know? Yeah, so when I was originally thinking, because I really like the composition of this and how they're kind of clashing the way they are. I also really like drawing horizontal versus pages because it gives a lot more room to play with the characters. Hand side for the characters, there's just a lot more room in that regard compared to there's going to be a lot of open space on the top and the bottom. but that's why page instead of horizontally. So if you have a horizontal action line that the clash point's going to be happening and they're kind of going straight at each other, better to draw that in landscape than portrait, so that way you can avoid those big blank spaces at the top and bottom of the illustration. But yeah, that's my rant on landscape and portrait action illustrations. But yeah, in any case, maybe just a little update on me. I've been actually working on Bounty's Gate, and I'm actually inking the first chapter now, finally. Woo! And I've also been trying to write out more of the story and stuff like that as I'm moving along. But yeah, so far that's been a very fun process, but it's also been very stressful because I go back and forth on being confident, then unconfident, and then liking it, then hating it. But that, I feel like that's just a big portion of creating anything. You have times that you feel you're doing good, and then you look at it again and you're like, no, this sucks, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you kind of just got to do your thing and end up finishing stuff, because the only way you learn is by actually doing it and finishing it. And then you can look back on it and reflect and see what you can do better next time. But yeah, as I'm moving forward with it, I'm getting gradually more and more excited and nervous to eventually release it. And it's going to be released definitely before the end of the year. Just remember, guys, we only have like, what, 2.5 months till the end of the year, so it's going to be released before then. So hopefully at least some of you guys are looking forward to that. I am kind of looking forward to that. Yeah, but like I said, it's a very lover, and keep doing what I'm doing now and see where things take us. Yeah, in any case, if you guys like my Patreons, you guys are the best pencil shinobis there are. And I'd also like to give special thanks to my Chunin and Jonin tier Patreons. You guys are super awesome, and each and every one of you Patreons help me be able to do what I do on this channel. I would also like to just, for a subscriber, I hope you guys like how the illustration came out. It was definitely a whole lot of fun, and these versus illustrations are really fun, even though they don't do so well in this channel. But in any case, if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to this channel, like what you see, please subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when each video comes out. And like always, guys, hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.